The movie opens in a quiet village, where life seems simple until Burmese soldiers storm in with ruthless intent. They drag along a group of frightened boys, pretending to set them free. The soldiers tell them to run, to escape into the fields as if they have been granted mercy. But it's nothing more than a cruel game. The moment the boys sprint in desperation, the soldiers raise their rifles and unleash a hail of bullets. The jungle falls silent except for the echo of gunfire, and the ground is left soaked with innocence lost forever. This brutal introduction sets the tone for the relentless violence that grips Burma. The scene then shifts to the dense jungles of Thailand, where we meet John Rambo, a man scarred by war but surviving in solitude. His days are spent in the wild, catching snakes with two local men, trading danger for survival. After capturing one, they load it into a boat and travel downriver. For Rambo, this isolated life is far removed from the chaos of battle, yet his hardened eyes reveal that war has never truly left him. At a local show, where the snakes are displayed for thrill seekers, Rambo is approached by a man named Michael. Speaking politely but firmly, Michael asks for Rambo's help in ferrying his group into Burma. He explains that they are missionaries who want to bring medicine, supplies, and hope to the oppressed villagers. But Rambo, unmoved, rejects him instantly. His voice is cold, blunt, and final. He reminds Michael that without weapons or protection, they won't survive a day in Burma's killing fields. Michael insists on their peaceful mission, but Rambo walks away, refusing to be pulled into another war. Soon after, Michael's companion Sarah steps forward. Unlike Michael's calm words, Sarah's plea carries emotion and conviction. She approaches Rambo with sincerity, telling him that they are not soldiers, they only want to save lives. But Rambo refuses her as well, his silence heavier than words. Meanwhile, far across the border, Burmese soldiers raid another helpless village. The terrified villagers are forced to watch as young boys are taken. Their commander declares that from this moment, these boys belong to his army. He warns the villagers that defiance means death, a message delivered with the cruelty of a man who knows fear is the strongest weapon. Back on the riverbank, Sarah refuses to give up. She secretly boards Rambo's boat, waiting for him to confront her. When Rambo discovers her, anger flashes across his face. But Sarah doesn't back down. She tells him they are here because people are dying, because the world looks away, and because someone has to help. Then she asks him a question that cuts deeper than any weapon. Has the humanity inside you died? Have you lost the will to care for others? Her words hit him like a wound he cannot ignore. For a long moment, Rambo stands silent, his mind caught between the darkness of his past and the fragile spark of compassion Sarah has reignited. Finally, his resolve softens. He agrees to guide them, though he warns of the dangers ahead. The next morning, the missionaries step onto his boat, their supplies in hand and hope in their hearts. Sarah thanks him quietly, but Rambo admits it wasn't Michael's reasoning that changed him, it was her determination, her belief that even in a land drowning in blood, kindness could still matter. As night falls on the river, the silence of the jungle feels heavier. The current pushes them deeper into enemy territory, where the line between survival and death grows thinner with every mile. Rambo's eyes scan the darkness, aware that in Burma, danger can strike from the trees, the water, or even the shadows themselves. The journey has only just begun, but already, a storm is waiting for them upriver. As Rambo continues upriver with the missionaries, 3 armed men suddenly appear and block their path. They confront him aggressively, demanding to know why he has entered their territory. One of them pulls out a gun and orders Rambo to hand over everything on his boat. His gaze then shifts toward Sarah, and with a sinister smile he declares that they want her too. In that moment, Rambo's expression hardens. He tells them they can take whatever supplies they want, but warns them not to even look at the girl. The situation escalates as the man raises his weapon, preparing to shoot Rambo. But before he can pull the trigger, Rambo reacts with lightning speed, drawing his own gun and killing all 3 men in a matter of seconds. Shaken but resolute, Rambo turns to Sarah and tells her they must go back. He knows Burma is a nightmare where soldiers slaughter innocents every day. But Sarah refuses, insisting that they can't turn away now. Her determination convinces him, and though he knows the danger, Rambo agrees to press forward. Not long after, he drops the missionaries on the riverbank, leaving them to continue their mission. Before departing, Sarah quietly hands him a small locket, a gesture of trust and gratitude. Rambo accepts it silently, then turns his boat and disappears downriver. On the way, he burns the boat where he killed the 3 men, erasing any trace of what happened. Meanwhile, Sarah and her companions reach a village deep inside Burma. They begin helping the locals with medicine and supplies, offering a small flicker of hope amid constant suffering. But their peace is short-lived. Without warning, Explosions rock the area as Burmese soldiers storm the village. Gunfire tears through the huts, men and women fall to the ground, and chaos spreads like wildfire. Sarah and her group are captured, their cries drowned out by the soldiers' merciless laughter. Far away, Rambo is restless. His sleep is filled with violent dreams, memories of war, and flashes of the people he has killed. He wakes abruptly, sweat on his face, only to find a man standing before him. This stranger is part of Sarah and Michael's church group. He urgently asks Rambo about their whereabouts. Rambo explains that he left them at the edge of Burma days ago. The man then delivers the grim truth: the missionaries have been captured by Burmese soldiers. Rambo demands to know how he can be so sure, and the man explains that local freedom fighters brought him the news. They reported that many people were taken hostage, including Americans, and among them was a young woman. Since Michael's group had only one woman, Sarah, there is no doubt she is still alive but imprisoned. The man admits that neither the Thai government nor the Burmese authorities will intervene. That is why he has assembled a small team of mercenaries, though none of them know the terrain. He came seeking Rambo because only he knows every hidden path, every corner of the jungle. At first, Rambo hesitates, but deep inside, Sarah's face lingers in his mind. He cannot ignore it, because somewhere along the journey, a quiet affection for her had begun to grow. And so, Rambo agrees to guide them into the heart of Burma, not just as a mission of survival, but because saving Sarah has now become personal. Rambo joins the team of mercenaries as they set out for Burma. Their commander, Lewis, is arrogant and dismissive, constantly mocking Rambo without realizing who he truly is. Among the soldiers, only one young man shows Rambo genuine respect, speaking to him with courtesy. The group continues their journey until they reach the Burmese border, where they disembark and begin their mission on foot. Rambo insists on staying with them to provide support, but Lewis scoffs at the idea. He sneers, calling Rambo nothing more than a boatman, and claims he'll be of no help in a war zone. Ignoring the insult, Rambo continues to trail behind, knowing his experience will soon matter more than Lewis's pride. At that moment, they are joined by a freedom fighter named Mint, a local rebel who has agreed to guide them deeper into Burma in hopes of rescuing his people. He knows the paths and hidden routes through the jungle, and with his help, the group moves forward. As the mercenaries press deeper into the countryside, Rambo quietly splits off and takes a separate path. The soldiers soon stumble upon a devastated village. The air is thick with the stench of death, bodies lying across the dirt, and the silence of horror hanging in the ruins. While they cautiously look around, a truck suddenly arrives carrying terrified young boys. The Burmese soldiers force the children out, preparing for another cruel display of their brutality. They scatter bombs across a rice field and order the boys to run. It is a sick game of death. The soldiers laugh as the children are made to sprint through the field, expecting them to step on the hidden explosives and be torn apart. But to their frustration, the boys make it across unharmed. Enraged, the soldiers force them to run again, threatening to shoot if they refuse. This time, the children resist, trembling but refusing to play their twisted game. Just as the soldiers raise their rifles to kill them, Rambo suddenly appears. With deadly precision, he unleashes his fury, cutting down the Burmese soldiers one after another. The mercenaries, stunned, witness the raw violence and skill of the man they had mocked earlier. Rambo's cold efficiency leaves no enemy standing. When the fighting is over, Rambo turns to Mint and demands to know where the captured villagers, including Sarah and Michael, are being held. Mint tells him the prison camp is several hours away, hidden deep within the jungle. The mercenaries hesitate, unwilling to press on. Fear clouds their judgment, they know what kind of hell awaits inside that camp. But Rambo confronts them, reminding them why they came. His words cut through their fear, and slowly, they agree to continue. They climb into a truck and begin the long, perilous journey toward the prison camp. Soon, they arrive at the heavily guarded compound, where villagers and missionaries alike are held in chains. Rambo and his companions launch their assault, freeing many of the captives. But amid the chaos, Rambo searches desperately for one face, Sarah. When he asks where she is, the freed villagers point toward another section of the camp. Without hesitation, Rambo charges forward, determined to rescue her. As the chaos inside the camp settles, tension rises among the rescuers. One mercenary insists their mission is complete, they were only hired to extract the missionaries, and now that Michael is safe, it's time to leave. But Michael refuses to abandon Sarah. He declares he won't go anywhere without her, even if it means risking his life. The mercenaries argue, and eventually most of them withdraw, unwilling to face the wrath of the Burmese army. Rambo, however, presses on. He manages to track Sarah down and pull her out of captivity. Together, With Michael and one young soldier who chose to stay behind, they slip away into the dense jungle under the cover of night. By morning, panic erupts in the camp. The Burmese commander discovers the prisoners are gone. Furious, he unleashes his soldiers and hounds to hunt them down through the jungle. Meanwhile, the fleeing group moves cautiously, but danger still lurks. As a column of mercenaries tries to escape through another route, one of them accidentally steps on a hidden mine. The explosion tears through the trees, injuring him badly and alerting the enemy patrols. Rambo, always one step ahead, devises a brutal diversion. He ties a shred of Sarah's clothing to an unexploded mine and sets a trap. Handing his companion a rifle, he instructs him to fire into the air. The gunshot draws the Burmese soldiers toward the northern trail. Certain they're closing in, the soldiers rush toward the decoy. But as they bend down to inspect the piece of cloth, the mine detonates with a thunderous blast, killing them instantly. Elsewhere, the remaining mercenaries who abandon the mission are not so fortunate. They are captured by the Burmese soldiers and dragged back to the camp. One of them, defiant even in chains, challenges the soldiers to kill him if they dare. The enemy obliges, savagely beating him in front of the others, a display of cruelty meant to break their spirits. The captured mercenaries are forced to kneel, their hands bound as the ruthless Burmese commander, Tint, prepares to make an example of them. He orders his soldiers to raise their weapons and wait for his signal to execute every last prisoner. The tension is unbearable, until a thunderous roar of gunfire tears through the jungle. Rambo arrives. With relentless precision, he unleashes a hail of bullets, cutting down soldiers left and right. The ambush turns into a massacre, Rambo's heavy firepower tearing through armor, shredding entire lines of enemies. The battlefield erupts in chaos as villagers, emboldened by his assault, storm in with weapons of their own, striking back against their oppressors. In the heart of the carnage, Rambo faces Commander Tint. Fueled by rage and vengeance, he tackles him in brutal combat. In the end, Rambo plunges his knife deep, ripping the tyrant apart and ending his reign of terror once and for all. As the dust settles, survivors reunite. Sarah rushes to Michael, tears streaming down her face as relief replaces fear. The villagers finally taste freedom, their tormentors lying defeated across the blood-soaked ground. With the mission complete, Rambo does not celebrate. Silent and weary, he walks away from the battlefield, choosing solitude once more. His journey takes him back to the home he left behind long ago, back to a place where, perhaps, peace still waits for him. And so, the story of Rambo in Burma ends, not with glory, but with survival, sacrifice, and the unyielding fight for freedom.